What the New York Times does matters. What the Wall Street Journal does matters. What Jonathan Lemire does matters. What the Financial Times does matters. What NBC News and MSNBC reporters do matters. It matters.
You may have seen the newest trick from Joe and Mika, who've been trying to save their show ever since they went down on bended knee to kiss a rather large orange buttocks at Mar-a-Lago El Bedbug. When was that now? 2 weeks ago? 3 weeks ago? Sometime right after the election. These tough warriors who said Trump was a threat to democracy went on down and, they just wanted to really sort of size up the man because, you couldn't do that for 8 years and then all the years before that. So let's go back to the beginning, okay? Joe and Mika were never Trumpers. Never Trumpers, right? That means, they were never part of that group. Okay. They loved Trump. They fluffed him. They kissed his butt. They had him on their show. Oh, they joked and laughed with him. It was wonderful. And then what happened was that he insulted them. They said something slightly critical. So he went after them. And I think he insulted them and said that Mika screeches or something, something sexist. And Joe was a low ratings Joe or whatever he said. And that was it. And the reason that was it is because if you follow Joe Scarborough's career, you would know he's a bully. He's obnoxious. He really is everything that makes MAGA tick. It's kind of shocking he's not in MAGA, that he didn't stick with it. The fact of the matter is that he is he's from this obnoxious, like sort of in your face, bravado kind of guy. Don't challenge me. You may remember famously Rachel Maddow was criticizing once on a show and he got up and he stormed out. Okay. He can't take any criticism, much like Donald Trump. So for years there, he was the right winger at MSNBC and he sort of moderated a little bit so he could fit in with New York because he, of course, like all conservatives, they love the rural areas and they love it out in the hinterlands and they love it. Oh, right. As soon as he had a chance, he moved to New York City and threw all that behind because they always want to live in the cultural centers we create. But also on top of all of that, Joe moderated a little bit. He still was very conservative. And maybe it was heartfelt when he moved to the left on certain issues. I think guns after Newtown, for example. But on most things, he remained and is a right winger. And his sort of whole being, his aura is that of a right winger. Then he and Mika pull themselves a Pete Hegseth, and they both left their spouses. I think it was Joe's second wife, the guy that lectured us on family values. Remember, he was a Gingrichite, and Gingrich was the first clown, but he was okay with that. And so they lectured, Joe spent so much time lecturing all of us on family values, wanted to take away women's rights to their bodily autonomy before Donald Trump even did it. Okay, yeah, right. But when they start cheating on each other, pulling a Pete Hegseth, okay, it's supposed to be all right. The dynamic between them has been so uncomfortable, and I can't believe nobody has ever brought this up before. Does it not honestly seem to anybody else out there like beaten spouse syndrome? I mean, I hate even saying that. But basically, Joe sits there, looks at you, rawr, 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 and Mika goes, can I? And then Joe's like, and then he grunts at her and basically tells her to shut up. I mean, she looks down when she talks on the show. Like should be called Mika because she's meek. She literally is sort of like that. You don't do that unless somebody, I'm not going to say he's physically abusive. I have no idea. But unless somebody is very, very verbally abusive to you, you all know, you've seen people before, and it often is women, but it's other folks too, who, when you know that they're being bullied by somebody. And that's what you get from the two of them sitting next to each other. It's really gross and uncomfortable, and why nobody's ever said anything, why anybody has ever found that appealing long before the situation with Trump. I've never understood. Like, it's just, it's just, okay. So in any case, in that nice little relationship of theirs, when they're sitting there and he's telling her to be quiet when she pipes up too much and he's yelling at all of us, that's exactly what happened when he went down to Mar-a-Lago, right? So first he starts off, he and Trump are buddies and they're having the show, laughing it up, pissed off everybody else at MSNBC back in 2016. But hey, it's okay because, hey, it's Donald Trump. It's good. Right. He doesn't really mean it. Then he insults them and he means it. He's terrible. He's horrible. They can't stand him. And for 8 years, they tell us with the same stuff that people that were being honest about him were saying, what a fascist he is, what a racist he is, what a sexist he is, what a horrible human being he is, all 7 sins and the 4 horses of the apocalypse and everything all tied together. Like literally one of the worst human beings to walk the earth. He is disgusting. He has every bad male quality that I can even think of. I can even try to acquire. But so they can't stand him, right? And they share all of that with us, all of it, constantly. What a threat he is. But then magically he wins the election, and we find out that Joe and Mika went on a trip down to Mar-a-Lago. And that wasn't even the worst part of it, right? It's the cover up, as they always say, that gets you, right? Not the crime, but the cover up. They go down there, and if Joe ever could be honest about anything, or ever could have any humility and say, we screwed up. Yes, we got nervous after he won. I think a lot of people would have forgiven them. Instead, he comes up with this BS line like, I was trying to get a sense of the man. You've had a sense of the man forever. You've known him forever, and you've been fighting with him forever. So shut up. We're not stupid. Okay? Although people that watch your show, maybe. Although there were also 50% fewer of them watching your show by that time because they got sick of you and got sick of your lies. So that set Joe off even more. The attacks online, and they lost, I think it was actually 40%, if we're being honest, of their crowd, of their audience, which wasn't a huge audience to begin with by cable standards. So then he goes on and berates his audience last Thursday for about 22 minutes, telling them how they're the idiots. And they're the ones that are still watching. The 40% that tuned out aren't seeing this, who hold him obviously to much more account. It's the ones still watching. So now he's yelling at them. 22 minutes, and his producers. I've been on MSNBC plenty in the past. I haven't gone on in the last couple of years, but I've been on TV a lot in my life, guys. Used to go on that stupid place called Fox, felt like Pravda when you walked in. I went on CNN, blah, blah. I've been on all of them, right? And I can tell you right now that producers generally do not let hosts go on crazy rants like that without just sort of yelling to their earpiece, shut up, stop, you're destroying yourself. The things they must have told him to try to get him to stop, I can't even imagine. And he wouldn't. Because again, he can't be criticized. He can't be wrong. He is just like Donald Trump. He is always right. He's a tough man, right? Tough man. Also, a lot like Donald Trump, maybe he shouldn't act so tough because he could use a few trips to the gym. Maybe he shouldn't start with the morning Joe, should start with the morning Jim. Okay, so he now we've got him completely lying to everybody and calling people stupid for not believing his lie. The ones that are left watching his show. So even fewer people watch it. And now they pull out of their butts this, well, if it doesn't work and they hate us and they're still criticizing us and they haven't fallen for it, just add a new host. So John Lemire is joining the show as if like, what? Is he a force field? Is he a shield of something? He's a human shield. They're going to throw Lemire out in the front there and be like, let him take all the punches. Maybe they'll set him up with some bad lines so everybody can get pissed at him and it'll make Joe look better. Like, see, he's the one who really likes Trump. No, they think that it'll change the dynamic. And maybe if somebody like Lemire's on there, who I'm guessing has a high Q rating, that's only my guess, which means people like him on TV. They think that might bring people back to Morning Joe. Maybe people will say, oh, it's okay. And you just keep asking yourself, why don't they fire them? They have let down their audience. They are not journalists or commentators, whatever they call themselves. I've never said I'm a journalist. I'm a commentator, and yet I'm still honest. I get things wrong, but I try to be honest. I share with you what information I have. They lied to their audience's face. They treat their audience like idiots. They condescend. They're obnoxious, and it's much more him than her. The worst part with her is just the meekly sitting there, and making us all uncomfortable. Certainly me, but he does all that, and it's just like, what does he have? Does he have naked pictures of the NBC brass? I mean, this is some random congressman who they plucked out to give a show. I mean, he had no name recognition, down from Pensacola. They give him a show, Scarborough Country, which sucked. And somehow nobody watched that show at 9 or 10 at night when it was on 10, 15 years ago. So they gave him the morning show as a promotion. The guy literally keeps getting promoted for failing. His ratings have stunk to begin with. They're worse now. I don't understand. So now you're going to bring another host into it to make him more likable. Fire him. Overall, MSNBC's ratings are down 50%. I don't watch cable because I find it makes me dumber. But a lot of people still, get some comfort of watching certain liberal shows on there. And that's okay. I have my opinions. You have yours. That's fine. Unlike Joe, we can have different opinions, you see? But the thing is that the network's already suffering and he's killing them. What does he have on them that they won't fire him? He has broken their ethical boundaries, right? Or their ethics rules already, has done that by going down to meet with Trump, by lying about it, by then yelling at his viewers. I think really every rule of being a host on TV, he's broken. Again, what does he have on you I can think of a dozen people who would do that job better and be honest with people and would bring people back to MSNBC. Think of right now, like after all we've been through since the election, if suddenly somebody cool who everybody loved was announced as the new morning host, man, you might just get press everywhere right now because everybody hates Joe and because it would be a big story and a spectacle. And you might just get this huge morning show. But no, they're going to stick with him and throw John Lemire in there and try to somehow convince us to watch this overbearing, obnoxious, bullying, lying, really MAGA man and convince us to come back. It's not going to work. I'm going to tell you right now. No one's coming back to your stupid show. No one's trusting them again. And MSNBC, I guess you don't care because you're on the chopping block now and Comcast wants to sell you. But keep it up, and you better hope somebody buys you soon and infuses some cash because you'll die as an entity.